States and their Capitals, Part 3. Alright, now, there actually was someone called Lord Baltimore, and he was a part of the Irish House of Lords. And he ended up being the Secretary of State to King James I. Now, this would have been Lord George Baltimore. Now, Lord George Baltimore had a son named Cecil. And both Lord George and his son Cecil were British subjects. And the British gave Baltimore, not to George, because George passed away before this could happen, but they gave Cecil Baltimore the territory which would become Baltimore, Maryland. Now, most people today would know Baltimore, Maryland by the Baltimore Orioles. If you know the Baltimore Orioles baseball team, you would know Lord Baltimore and Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, now when it comes to Dover, Delaware, and I glanced over this the last time, but I'm going to go a little more in depth this time. Dover is actually a town in the, I would guess, province of the province of Kent in the country of England. Okay, and if anybody has better information, you go ahead and leave it to me. I'm just guessing on this. I do know that Dover is a city in Dover is a town in Kent, England, but I don't know whether Kent is a province or whatever. I'd have to do more research to find out. Okay, and William Penn loved Dover, England so much that he named Dover, Delaware the same way. Okay. Now, there was a guy named Roger Williams, and he was a religious exile from England. And Roger Williams named Providence, Rhode Island for God's merciful providence. That's what he said. He said, I am naming Providence, Rhode Island for God's merciful providence. If you don't believe me, you can look this up for yourself. Okay. Now, believe it or not, in England, there was a Duke of Albany. And that is what the town of Albany, New York is named after. And that, of course, Albany is the capital of New York. Now, please do not criticize me. I do have a pronunciation problem with this. Montpellier is actually a city in southern France, and it also happens to be, and I'll look this up, it also happens to be the capital of Vermont. So, Montpellier, Vermont was named after a town called Montpellier in southern France. Now, at one time, there was a guy by the name of Benjamin Thompson, and he was also known as Count Rumford. Okay? And this Count Rumford had a dispute with the town of Bow, New Hampshire. And when the dispute was settled, they set up a town called Concord, New Hampshire, which actually the word Concord means harmony. Okay? So, because the word Concord means harmony, and there was finally harmony between Count Rumford and the town of Bow, New Hampshire, they came up with this town called Concord, New Hampshire. Now, I'm also sure that you've heard of an aircraft called Concorde. Well, that aircraft was developed by a teamwork between Great Britain and France. And that's how we got the Concorde airplane. Now, let's go to Augusta, Maine. Augusta, Maine was named after Henry Dearborn's daughter, Augusta. True fact. Okay. And now that we've finished with all that, what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit further west, past the state of Wisconsin, north of Iowa, and when we do, we find St. Paul, Minnesota. Now, St. Paul, Minnesota was named after a church called St. Paul, and the church was named by Father Lucien Galtier. And I hope I got that pronunciation right. I may not have, that's fine. But Father Lucien Galtier named St. Paul, he named the church St. Paul Church because of his favorite apostle, St. Paul. Okay? And when he named the church, of course, he named the community around the church St. Paul as well. And there you have it. Several more states that you can now know the true names of and where they came from. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.